Yo, you want to see something cool? No? Well, I'm gonna do it anyway.
We're back to Backyard Republic, and tonight we're going to talk about Antifa. Now, we've seen lately in the news that the leadership of Antifa has been busted by the FBI, and then Trump designated them as a domestic terrorist organization. And there's some caveats to all of that, and we're going to touch base on some of that stuff. So it is true that the leadership of Antifa was arrested. The guy, the Rose City Antifa leadership was arrested, and some others throughout the country. The main ones are in Portland. Trump has moved aggressively towards his rhetoric about Antifa. And if you think back in his first administration, Antifa was the one that was going around Portland and Seattle and some of these other states during the BLM riots, smashing windows and becoming violent, which had the rise of the Proud Boys. The Proud Boys from the Southern Poverty, whatever it was, Southern Poverty Law Firm or whatever that bullshit group is, designated them as a racist group, in kin to the KKK. And what was surprising is the leader of the Proud Boys was Latino. The leader of the Proud Boys in Portland on the West Coast was a Samoan, and the second guy, the second guy in charge of the Proud Boys was a gay black man. Yeah, it's a pretty diverse group when the majority of Antifa are all white liberals. The only thing diverse about Antifa is their hair color and their gender and their sexuality. They're pretty open to whatever, I guess. So, September 25th, the executive order was sent out that they're going to be designated as domestic terrorist groups, which is kind of symbolic because there's no law in America that designates any of these groups as a terrorist group or a domestic group as a terrorist group. If that was the case, they would have done that to 1% biker gangs, the mafia, street gangs, and all that other stuff. But to designate, they're going to have to go in and they'll have to change the laws. Congress, and the left's not going to do that. The Antifa is their brown shirts. That's the brown shirts of the left. And if you don't know what the brown shirts are, the brown shirts is what Hitler used to intimidate his political, not just intimidate, assassinated his political opponents also. And then on the 26th, September 26th, dozens of Antifa-aligned left-wing violent extremists tied to attacks of law enforcement and other violence were arrested by the FBI and Department of Homeland Security. And on October 8th, Reuters covered it, and they said that the president was very threatening towards Antifa and noted that Antifa was decentralized and had no leadership, was leaderless. Now, all that's turned out to be bullshit because in New York, Chicago, Texas, LA, Portland, and Seattle, they have linked Antifa. The FBI and Department of Homeland Security has documentation linked to each other that shows a hierarchy, that shows that they're organized, and it shows that they have leadership. And they're in contact with each other from across the country. And they also found bombs, guns, body armor, and propaganda stuff. Found radios connected to each other, found cell phones connected to each other. They try to hide stuff in Faraday bags so they didn't give off signals. And it's the same throughout the country. They did the same stuff throughout the country. So they said, you know what? This sounds like that. These are crimes being committed across state lines, from coast to coast, border to border. And they slapped them with the Rico Act like they did the mafia back in the day. Is it going to stick? I don't know. I'm glad these people are in jail, though. I'm glad these people are. And this is not like the Antifa of World War II, where they're out actively fighting fascism, because the rhetoric and the policies of Antifa here is fascism. They're fascists. They themselves are what they determine, what they've decided they're going to fight against. That, and they're against free speech. They think that this, when Charlie Kirk was killed, gay terrorist group out there is connected to Antifa. They found, the bombs that were underneath the cars in Salt Lake City. They think might have been connected to Antifa. So slowly they're starting to put the pieces of the puzzle together. And thank God these people are going to go to prison, into a real prison where they're going to be challenged. They're going to be challenged. Life's going to be tough. So that's where we're at with the Antifa stuff. Don't necessarily believe what the media tells you, because they're going to try to sell it one way to discredit whatever Trump has said, discredits whatever his Department of Justice and Homeland Security do, and the FBI do. They're going to try to paint them in the bleakest, darkest, dimmest, ugliest light possible, because that's what the global elite want. They don't want Trump to change things. Changing things and putting Antifa in prison, that's just a start. Personally, he should have an anti-riot group of about 20,000 dudes that can be sent from one point to another and just quell riots. Back, batons, pepper balls, gas, whatever, and just quell riots. Because all these riots are a bunch of bullshit. Well, anyway, that was a brief one. It's a brief episode of the Backyard Republic. So, I'll stay strong, stay lit.